Hey guys, if you have ever felt like you have like a past version of you, or there was an era or year in your life where you wanted to grow as a person, you wanted to become a new version of yourself, maybe you feel negatively towards who you were during that time, or you look back and you're like, that wasn't healthy, I really want to transform, this video is for you. We're gonna take a look at the ways that we progress in life and heal and transform ourselves, and some of the ways where we have created more issues that can very easily be rectified to fully integrate our healing. So this is something, the first point is something that I noticed with myself, was that every time I wanted to learn and grow from a negative cycle, right, something I never wanted to repeat again because it was causing suffering in my life, I would go back and think of everything that, all the decisions I made, the lack of boundaries and respect for myself that led me to put myself in these situations where these things happened, or, whatever it was, this environment I created for myself. And I'd be like, okay, this is how I move forward. I'm going to do X, Y, Z. I'm not going to do this anymore. These are my new boundaries, blah, blah, blah. In taking accountability for the way I needed to move forward to not repeat those cycles, I did not realize that I was blaming the version of myself that didn't know better and got me into those situations to begin with. And I had to go back and do a lot of self-forgiveness. Now what happens is that these other parts of us, like, we talk about the inner child and we hear about the inner child. There is an inner every age, every aspect, every version of us is still inside us. We're like a tree, with like the rings that grow. It's all in there, like Russian nesting dolls. We're all in there. So when we create like resentment towards an aspect of ourself, that aspect feels it, and especially if they were responsible for creating a negative cycle in our life, we might not really be able to move past it. It might start becoming like a subtle sabotage. At least I've experienced this, not realizing that I vilified this version of me, just desperately wanting to be done with it. Like, this wasn't something I was consciously doing, and this happened years ago, but as I've been really working on my healing and, doing like hypnotherapy to see what, inner aspects of me really need attention, I'm like, oh my goodness, I've done this on a very deep level. So I encourage you to reflect back and see what versions of you, what old aspects of self, what inner you uses need attention and need forgiveness and need love, so that you can integrate them. Because my point being in this video is that when you take parts of yourself that you no longer want to be, and you don't transform them through healing them and letting them know that they are safe and accepted, and that you appreciate the work that they have done for you, because they were doing the best that they could and they were just trying to protect you, even if it didn't turn out so great or it led to more issues. When you don't come to yourself from a place of compassion and unconditional love, understanding, forgiveness, you can actually end up creating more issues. You can start breaking yourself down into pieces and kind of trying to shove them in the closet. So sometimes those pieces of you just wait patiently, and when you're ready to integrate them, they're happy to do so. But other times they start to feel some type of way about it. And I've experienced all ends of the spectrum of this when it comes to healing pieces of me. So one of the things was, it's been every time I've transformed my life, or I've wanted to be like, okay, I don't want to be this version of me, I want to make this drastic change. Like one time for most of my 20s, I was involved in a very toxic and negative career. And when I finally moved out of that, I was like, I don't want to be that version of me anymore. I thought that I was I had a pretty high value of myself. I thought that I was like pretty well off for what I was experiencing, but I still wanted to make a bunch of changes and really shift into a different way of being and relating to life. And what I did was I took that core piece of me that thrived in the old environment and I put her in the closet. And over the past couple of years, since moving on from this transition, or since transitioning from that, I have felt like I have never really found my confidence. And I've been struggling to find a foundation of confidence, and I didn't understand because I used to be so confident. Granted, it was in the wrong context, or the now undesirable context. But where did it go? In the closet. That's where, waiting for me to come get her. So this is something I have just recently realized on this level to this extent. But once I integrated that version of me that held all of that confidence, I realized that it wasn't that I needed to throw out this piece of me, because we seem to have this concept that we can just throw out pieces of us if we don't fully understand how the human psyche and soul and being works, that we are all these different aspects, and we can split ourselves up and do a lot of damage that way. We can cause separation within our own self. And one of my good friends is a hypnotherapist, and so I've learned so much from her and sessions with her about the extent of this and seeing this. And I have met these versions of me in our sessions together, where she has guided me into a very relaxed state and then had me coached me on how to navigate to these pieces of me that need attention, and acknowledging exactly what happened to them and exactly how my behavior transitioning out of that version led to their pain and suffering, or their neglect. And like I said, some of them take it well and some of them do not. So I invite you to just open your mind to this concept, because you don't necessarily need to go do hypnotherapy or go on a retreat or anything to integrate these pieces. Just ask yourself, how can I start to open my mind to this form of healing, or this level of healing, or this aspect of healing, right? Just becoming conscious of it, and then having the intention to allow in what is necessary for you in this moment in its own perfect timing, and it will all start to come in. But I do encourage you to start viewing personal transformation as never getting rid of pieces of you or aspects of you, but rather taking them and rehabilitating them, transforming them. And that can be kind of hard when you're like desperate to not be that version of you anymore. I felt that way. I was like, I really don't want to go back to these old cycles, like I have to be this new version of me. And so completely shutting out a whole part of me. And so since reintegrating, this most recent piece, it's like I found my confidence again. I found my self-worth again. And just because my self-worth, this, character I saw myself as, this old me, was rooted in an environment that I no longer want to participate in, it doesn't mean that she couldn't switch into what I'm moving into in my life. Like, I didn't need to get rid of this whole aspect of me. But I didn't know any of this at the time. I thought that I had no idea that it would work like that it would, cause this inner division. So I just encourage you to, however feels natural for you and your process, your healing journey, open your mind to this concept of, the way that we transform ourselves, accidentally causing division within. Because if we don't take an honest look at it, it's going to cause issues in the future. When we divide ourselves up into little bits, we're never going to be fully whole. And so we might be trying to step into some really big, amazing things, and we just can't seem to get a stable grip on it because we don't have a stable foundation. We have all these little pieces here and there, or we're missing a key component because we put her in the closet. So yeah, I think I'm going to keep this one pretty short. Yeah. Like I said, this last aspect that I integrated was pretty patient about it and very understanding. But some of the older versions of me, when I was going through probably my hardest times in life, they were not so understanding at first, and it took a lot of self-love and compassion and hearing them out. Like, I visualized myself talking to this version of me. What does she need to hear? How can I love her unconditionally? How can I make her feel safe so that she will integrate with me and become a part of the whole and serve me in the way that I'm trying to move going forward? But you need to acknowledge the pain first. You need to acknowledge this pain that this version of you has. You need to extend them love and let them know that they are heard, they are valid, they did their best. Forgiving yourself and this other version of you, it's a whole thing, and definitely approach it in a way that feels best. But these are just my experiences and my tips. But I did find that some of the older versions of me were creating self-sabotaging behaviors, and so it's you can continue to work as hard as you want on those behaviors, and why are they manifesting, but if you just keep shoving down other pieces of you, they're just gonna stay there more hidden and more hidden. And just because you start covering them up well, and maybe they're not slipping through the cracks as easily, doesn't mean that they don't still exist. And I'm a big proponent of just tearing everything apart and cleaning, gutting it, cleaning it out, and building a really healthy, sustainable, stable foundation. So this is my perspective. This is my approach. Let me know if you want to hear more on this topic. Let me know in the comments what you think, how you've experienced this, or anything you want to share with me. If you're interested in any of my services, the links will be down below. I'll also link my friend who does hypnotherapy, because she does offer distance sessions, and she has some great content that she's putting out on her social media, so definitely someone to keep an eye on. I really like how her perspective and expertise and practice really goes hand in hand with, the things that I put forth in my own life. So I will leave it at that and see you in the next video.